Happy Thursday to What's Up Canada family and beyond. I hope you guys are having a good day preparing for the fall season and the Thanksgiving holidays and all of the good things, going back to school, all of the wonderful things that people do at this time of year, getting in the last gasps of summer activities and family gatherings and those kinds of things. Um, Today's broadcast, I apologize for being a little bit cryptic in launching this stream today. I'm going to kind of give a little bit of a discussion as to why I chose to do this way tonight. I know I haven't been doing a lot of broadcasts lately on this stream, this platform. A lot of that has to do with the censorship. I've also been very, very busy working on other platforms where I'm not censored, so I can actually do some good in getting information out. So I've been doing a lot of that over the last little while. This what I'm going to bring you guys tonight, guys, is very complex. It's going to be very disturbing, and it is not theory. Okay, we've been going through an awful lot in the last couple of years, but at the end of the day, I do believe that 99% of what we're experiencing, what seems to be happening to us, is all taking us to the same direction, if not the same destination, and it is all inextricably intertwined. I'm not the first to break this story, although it may be news to some of you. There are others that are bringing this to light already. I only discovered this morning about 10 o'clock our time, and we brought it out on the Wendy Bell Radio News Network this morning as well. She's digging into this a lot deeper, a lot further, has connected some more dots since this morning. And I genuinely believe, guys, that all of a sudden, a lot of the things that we've been squabbling over the last little while are going to seem very, very unimportant when people begin to understand what has happened and what they have planned to happen. So we've been talking a lot over the last couple of months about some of the hypothesis, what is going on with these jabs, the damages, a lot of these kinds of things. There's so much weirdness going on. Those of you that follow my work have seen some beginning to show some of the light into some of the experimentation through some of the weaponization of different things. If you caught my article about what they were talking about at West Point 5 years ago, when I was writing that and looking at that and researching that, I was wondering, oh my goodness, where are they today? Where are they today? Because it was horrifying then when I was going through those articles. But yeah, this over the whole time period, the last week, 10 days, with the announcement of the Queen's passing and the global fixation on this, my spidey senses, my Batman radar was tingling. And I knew something was going to happen. England is kind of the epicenter. When this all started, it was directly after the Brexit countdown. And with the passing of the Queen, I knew something was going to come. I know I'm beating around the bush a little bit here, Michael. I apologize for that. We need people to have a little bit of context that aren't all on the same page. I'm going to get into a bunch of horrifying stuff, and I want to make sure that people are settled in, and we've got some people watching, all right? So I've got some things queued up, and they're not necessarily in chronological order, but it's going to really start to explain how we get to President Biden's executive order this past Friday and what that means. Because we are literally now, that is, we'll discuss what I believe is coming after that. But just to get you guys going here, I've pulled up a video on Twitter, even though I am not on Twitter anymore, I could still access this video. It's 2 minutes and 18 seconds. I'm going to play it and listen up to this, and you're going to kind of get a feel for where this is going. And I'll probably pause it at one point when she says something that is incredibly disturbing and pertinent. So
the birth of some of the biological technologies at DARPA. Our flagship programs include revolutionizing prosthetics. We're now closing the loop where a man and machine can be integrated together. Humanity will change more in the next 20 years than all of recent history. And I do think that we are on a trajectory towards this. On the upslope, if you can see it, there's things like human 2.0, human machine convergence. These are things that are somewhere on the horizon that genome engineering and gene editing will be a part of. So how do we make sure that we can pursue this future in a safe manner? What about enhancing that baseline state? So there's defensive enhancement. We do this already, actually. Think about vaccination. So when you're vaccinated, you actually are introduced to a change that is lifelong lasting, that protects you from disease. This is an enhancement that most individuals are accepting of and even find it honorable and a must. We require, if our children go to school, that they must be vaccinated. There's other enhancements that would be maybe offensive, enhancements, performance, enhancement in cognitive state. Do we go there? What does that look like? What's the decision-making process to get us there? And then finally, an entirely new baseline state. So this is where germline editing comes in, and individuals in the near future, we already demonstrated that it is possible, but what type of future does this look like, where there will be edited individuals, unedited individuals, who has access to those technologies? In the future, will there be a question where we ask, what genes are you on? What are you enhanced with? Who am I talking to? And how do I know where do you stay in this level of enhancement? It's evolution really on steroids now in our control.
That's the part that I wanted to pause on. Evolution is now in their control. They genuinely believe that they control our evolution moving forward. You guys have heard of that Uri guy, the World Economic Forum, Frankenstein. This is right along the same lines of exactly that. The West Point article, that lecture that I studied and dug deeper into, they were literally transferring gifts through our genetic material, using us as basically as memory sticks to transfer data and information. So now I'll carry on here just a little bit more.
Acceptance for genome editing for somatic therapies and germline therapies is growing. Not quite there yet for germline and somatic enhancements. I think this sort of is grouping the offensive and defensive enhancements together, but really we're solidly on the defensive side.
Do you see the way she's smiling there? That terrifies me. They believe they're in control of our evolution. Yes, that's the guy. You all know Harari. That guy is a monster, and you guys are going to see over the course of the next few articles and things that I'm going to bring up that are going to fill in a lot of where we're at. If you guys haven't seen, and I'm going to refer back to this quite often, this West Point lecture that I wrote the article on, find it on my website, whatsupcanada.org. From there, follow the steps if you needed to backtrack from where we're at here right now. So this was posted on Twitter, I do believe yesterday or today, but it's really recent, and we're going to see a lot of discussion brought up on this subject. Sorry about the echo in the video, guys. It's the only video that I have to show, so we'll get through that. There's lots to cover here, and how to explain it so people will understand it. everything is taking us to transhumanism. What is transhumanism? For those of people that were Star Trek fans, that's the Borg. Anybody that has seen The Matrix, that is the Matrix. The hybrid, the merger of humans and technology to enhance their abilities and capabilities. We watched The Matrix and thought, oh, geez, he learned 333 languages in a session of being plugged into a computer. This is exactly what they're talking about building, guys. And where are we with that? Okay, right here. I had it pulled up. I will get it right back. Here we are, guys. So just to eliminate right early on in this live stream, this is not conspiracy theory. I'm going to read through this article with you guys. It might be a little bit slow, but we need to understand this. Once I've read through President Biden's executive order here, I'll bring up a couple of other articles that are explaining it from people that are quite a lot more accomplished and brilliant than I am. So this executive order, while we were all looking at the Queen, was issued Friday, September 12th. That's 3 days. Okay, that was 3 days ago. The same time as they were, I believe it wasn't that the Inflation Reduction deal that they were celebrating. I don't think that's what they were really truly celebrating. I believe it was this that they were celebrating. Executive order on advancing biotechnology and biomanufacturing innovation for a sustainable, safe, and secure American bioeconomy. Okay, if you've been following me for a while, this isn't the word that I've used. I've been using the word farm economy, right? We know that they've been militarizing and we've been moving towards this security state. So September 12th, presidential actions. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, policy. It is the policy of my administration to coordinate a whole of government approach to advance biotechnology and biomanufacturing towards innovative solutions in health, climate change, energy, food security, agriculture, supply chain resilience, and national and economic security. Central to this policy and its outcomes are principles of equity, ethics, safety, and security that enable access to technologies, processes, and products in a manner that benefits all Americans and the global community, and that maintains United States technological leadership and economic competitiveness. So let's break this down a little bit. All right. So what he's basically saying here is that is going to be the policy, like it or not, it is going to be the policy that all of these things, equity, ethics, safety, all of the ESG things that I've been talking about for the last month, 6 weeks, which means this is going to all of the corporations that are stuffing this social credit system down our throat, calling it ESG from the top down. They're already aware of this. They are making their 5-year business plans based on this this edict. Now, understanding that America is a military industrial complex, the old Democrat political system, the political financial system was based on warfare. So as long as there's Democrats are in power, they've got war. That is their business model, right? So this is where what they're talking about there, and you can be damn skippy that if they're introducing this for public control and use, they are light years ahead for their own purposes, goals, and aims, right? So read on a little further here. Biotechnology harnesses the power of biology to create new services and products, which provide opportunities to grow the United States economy and workforce and improve the quality of our lives and the environment. The economic activity derived from biotechnology and biomanufacturing is referred to as the bioeconomy. Get used to that word, guys. It's no longer going to be an energy economy. They are transitioning us to a bioeconomy in their Build Back Better. So the COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated the vital role of biotechnology and biomanufacturing in developing and producing life-saving diagnostics, therapeutics, and vaccines that protect Americans and the world. Well, we all know that was just a lie. Although the power of these technologies is most vivid at the moment in the context of human health, biotechnology and biomanufacturing can also be used to achieve our climate and energy goals. Climate police in Canada? Improve food security and sustainability, secure our supply chains, and grow the economy all across all America. Um, that doesn't sound very realistic. That sounds more like a 3D Facebook game than reality. But I digress. I'm going to read through a little bit more of this. For biotechnology and biomanufacturing to help us achieve our societal goals, the United States needs to invest in foundational scientific capabilities. Follow the science, follow the science. We need to develop genetic engineering technologies and techniques to be able to help to write, this is where it gets really scary, to be able to write circuitry for cells and predictably program biology in the same way in which we write software and program computers, unlock the power of biological data, including through computing tools and artificial intelligence, and advance the science of scale-up production while reducing the obstacles for commercialization so that innovative technologies and products can reach markets faster. Right? So turning us into circuit boards, it was just 2 weeks ago in looking at the money that was awarded by the Canadian government, a bunch of those millions of dollars that were given to reduce vaccine hesitancy. If you go and follow up on that, you'll find through there all of the places that are doing the pro-vax campaigns, but you'll also see in there, when you follow that, some of the research that they funded to do this, and how they are literally talking about creating carbon fiber, silicone connectivity from cell to cell to transfer resources, circuitry. They're designing circuitry within us at a biological level, and this is what he's talking about here, right? So I'm going to carry on. Simultaneously, y'all are going to love this as it goes further. Simultaneously, we must take concrete steps to reduce biological risks associated with advances in biotechnology. Just the way that they proceeded to do gain of function research after they were told not to do gain of function research in 47 labs, that they denied having 47 labs, but then had to admit that they had 47 labs. So, they're going to take concrete steps to reduce risks. Okay. We need to invest in and promote biosafety and biosecurity to ensure that biotechnology is developed and deployed in ways that align with United States principles and values and international best practices. International best practices. Got it. And not in ways that lead to accidental or deliberate harm to people, animals, or the environment. What could go wrong, right? In addition, we must safeguard the United States bioeconomy as foreign adversaries and strategic competitors alike use legal and illegal means to acquire United States technologies and data, including biological data and proprietary or pre-competitive information that threatens United States economic competitiveness and national security. So let's think about this for a moment. After all of the years of infiltration of Chinese duplication, knocking off every bit of technology that we've got, these guys have been developing this stuff in secret behind closed doors, rewriting the evolution of humanity. And now we're supposed to just pretend like he's got it all under control. And but now we have to do this, and we have to do this gung ho, and we have to do this as a society and embrace and do this because the enemy has all of their secrets. That sounds like exactly the way the Biden operation that he's now the front person for gets things done. There's no way that he could be smart enough to accomplish one molecule of this, but the people behind him are seriously evil. So the enemy now has this technology that can rewrite humanity. Thanks guys. Thank you, scientists and science. Right. All right, so I'm going to go on a little further here. This is long. I'm not sure if we're going to get all the way through this. This will be a 3-hour video if we do, but we're going to get to some of the good, some of the more important stuff. All right, where were we? We almost this it hurts to read some of this because I know just how hypocritical and a lie this really is. So we must also ensure that use of biotechnology and biomanufacturing are ethical and responsible and are centered on a foundation of equity, and public good, consistent with the Executive Order 13985 of January 2021, advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That is World Economic Forum, United Nations language speak for Great Reset. That's straight up all that is. Code speak for Great Reset, One World Order, and are consistent with respect for human rights. Resources should be invested justly and equitably so that biotechnology and biomanufacturing technologies benefit all Americans, especially those in underserved communities, as well as the broader global community. All about the global community. This is where it starts to get a little bit into the nuts and bolts of this, guys. To achieve these objectives, it is the policy of my administration to bolster and coordinate federal investment in key research and development areas of biotechnology and biomanufacturing in order to further societal goals. Like we want this. Foster a biological data ecosystem that advances biotechnology and biomanufacturing innovation while adhering to principles of security, privacy, and responsible code of conduct of research. There isn't an ethical or responsible code of conduct in any single one of any of the alphabet agencies. Not a freaking one of them have a moral or ethical or societal bone to speak from within them. They are jellyfish to the one world order. Clone troopers, 100% replaceable. You can take any one of them out of the equation and you replace them, just like they did with Boris Johnson and the new clone trooper that they replaced there. And they come out of the gate talking great, but only because of damage control and putting up the next round of assaults. Adapt, improvise, and overcome, they do that too. Every time we kick them in the nards, they get back up and they get twice as devious and they knee jerk twice as hard. This is a direct result of the World Economic Forum not being able to slide through that global pandemic treaty. Ultimately, it was going to achieve the same things, but through the global economic treaty or the global pandemic treaty, Biden wasn't going to be the bad guy for doing that. Control wasn't going to be given away by him. It was going to be taken away by the World Health Organization if they had a pandemic. This is not at the World Health Organization's control. This is Biden literally mandating this for the entire American population. So carry on here a little bit more. Improve and expand domestic biomanufacturing production capacity and process while also increasing piloting and prototyping efforts in biotechnology and biomanufacturing to accelerate the translation of basic search results into practice. They didn't do any kind of significant testing and evaluation on any of the jabs. Why would we, and we let them get away with that? At this point, this is what this whole piece reads like: is everything that they want to do, they are just going to do it based on global research rather than isolated American research. So they're going to boost sustainable biomass production and create climate smart incentives for American agricultural producers and forest landowners. We know what that's about already. And this bioengineering has been going on with crops for far too long already. So they're going to expand market opportunities for bioenergy, and bio-based products and services. Biofurnaces? And the scary part is when you think about that Yanni character, once they take God and the mystery out of our living, then we are nothing more than a biomass to them. This is where they get that term useless eaters. We are nothing but carbon. We could be burned as fuel, literally, and do not think for a second that that is beyond them. So, to train and support a diverse, skilled workforce and a next generation of leaders from diverse groups to advance biotechnology and biomanufacturing. Clarify, yeah, diversity for all of it, right? Clarify and streamline regulations in service of a science and risk-based, predictable, efficient, and transparent system to support the safe use of products and biotechnology. Sound a little familiar in their procedures and their language? Science and risk-based, predictable models, efficient, transparent systems to support the safety. They have had given us zero transparency about anything, and they have still used all of these science and risk-based yada yada lies to gaslight us. And I heard the best explanation of gaslighting, guys, on Gutfield. Literally, is a weirdo goes and burns down his neighbor's house and saves the cat and expects to be treated like the hero. That's gaslighting. That's what our governments are doing to us, and there is absolutely no transparency in everything that they do. Every time they use that word, that is them throwing another bucket of gas on the lie, right? So carry on a little further here. Elevate biological risk management as a cornerstone of the life cycle of biotechnology and biomanufacturing, research and development, including by providing for research and investment in applied biosafety and biosecurity innovation. So the scaling of the industry, the generations of manufacturing and then the generations of digital evolution. They're literally telling us that everything, the entire foundation of our business economy is going to be based on this new bioeconomy. I wish I'd have thought of that before pharma economy. That's what I've been calling it for quite some time. So promote standards, establish metrics, and develop new systems to grow and assess the state of the bioeconomy to better inform policy, decision-making, and investments in the bioeconomy, and to ensure equitable and ethical development of the bioeconomy. That's really just the circle jerk of money going around between the top three: BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, and every corporation, in every intermediate corporation in between them that is owned by the same small group of shareholders. And that's the same people. They own every corporation owned by those top three corporations, right? All of the money behind all of this was also covered in an article that I did last week. Who controls the demolition of the world? You'll find that on my website as well. All right, so carry on here a little bit more. I just want to get to the end of this, and then I'm going to skim over to a couple of other things. and bring up some of people that have done some in-depth analysis and provided a lot of additional resources. There's no way you're going to get through researching this in a day, guys. So this is meant to be a deep overview of the context of this. After this live stream, I will put this live stream and all of the resources, all of the links, all of the additional links into an article, and I will publish that on your news, and it'll be up on my website by tomorrow morning as well, right? So there's going to be a lot more to dig into this. This is where we draw the line in the sand for humanity, or we kiss humanity goodbye. So secure and protect the United States bioeconomy by adopting a forward-looking, proactive approach to assessing and anticipating threats, risks, and potential vulnerabilities, including digital intrusion, manipulation, and exfiltration efforts by foreign adversaries, and by partnering with the private sector and other relevant stakeholders to jointly mitigate risks to protect technology leadership and economic competitiveness, and engage the international community to enhance biotechnology research and development cooperation in a way that is consistent with United States principles and values, and that promotes best practices for safe and secure biotechnology and biomanufacturing, research, innovation, and product development and use. It used to be the corporate American dream. That was just the source of the money laundering, the bad guys, the gangs, the mobs, was the nostalgic, romantic view of that is that it was corporate America, bred out of the Italian mafia as well. Those guys never stopped growing, guys, and they turned into different organizations and groups and rebranded, and just America wasn't enough. They're literally making their play for the entire planet. The corporations are no longer just American corporations. Their head offices may be in corporate America because that's the center of the financial universe and has been for a very long time. So that's where, it's not corporate America, but it's corporations that are based in America that are literally making this hostile ploy to take over the world. And this is what they have in store for the human factor of that. So section 2, coordination. The assistant to the president for national security affairs, national security, in consultation with the assistant to the president for economic policy and the director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy, shall coordinate the executive branch actions necessary to implement this order through the interagency process described in National Security Memorandum as of February 4th, 2021, renewing the National Security Council system and to NSM2 process. In implementing this order, heads of agencies, as defined in Section 13 of this order, shall, as appropriate and consistent with applicable law, consult outside stakeholders such as those in industry, academia, non-governmental organizations, communities, labor unions, and state, local, tribal, and territorial governments to advance the policies described in this order. You want to know the one thing that's missing from that, guys? The one thing that's missing from all of this, we the people. You the people don't get a consultation on what they're intending to implement. They're doing this whether it's legal or lawful or not, and that's and that brings to the top of the discussion all of these Democrat howlies screeching, this threatens the fabric of our democracy. Well, in America, wake up, guys. You are not a democracy. Canada is a democracy. Democracies are ruled by the mob, by the rule of the mob, by the rule of public emotion. That's what controls the government. That's democracy. In America, you're a constitutional republic. You're run by the rule of law. And so, yes, you're threatening democracy because the mob wants to take over and eliminate the law. So the Democrats are absolutely right that Republicans threaten their democracy because it's not a democracy, but they're sure trying to turn it into one so that they can turn it into an emotional basket case, much like Canada does, right? So I've gone on this for 35 minutes, and guys, this is really, really long, and they do this on purpose, all full of this word salad to make sure that nobody's going to take the time to read this. Nobody's gonna not one single one of those talking heads on in any of the branches of government are going to actually read this. They're going to put it out there. They're going to take what they want, and they're going to screech about the democracy and Nazis and all of those things. And nobody's going to hear anything about this because this is all being done through the back channels with the moneyed few, right? So um, that's how they're doing it, and they're trying to make sure that nobody gets any discussion of that. You, as I read there, you the people don't get any consultation on that. They're going to the NGOs, the nonprofits, the organizations, the governmental agencies. That's who they're going to do this. So this is where what I've been saying for so long is we have to take control of things from the bottom up. That's how we have to replace all of the people in the grassroots, the literally the community level. That's where they have control of everything above that, and that's where they're planning to gain their momentum through that. So we literally have to, from the ground up, refuse to use any single portion, refuse to united non-compliance, peaceful non-compliance. We cannot afford at this point to support or endorse or give implied consent to any branch of government that is endeavoring to bring in this kind of agenda. So I'm going to take a little less dry here. Go to something that's a little less dry. Another article, and this is by Leo Hoffman. And so in here is a lot from Karen Kingston. I've reached out to Karen. Hopefully, she can find the time to join us on a show here in the near future. But she is absolutely an amazing, brilliant lady who has single-handedly a force of nature in exposing a lot of this evil that's going on from the pharma corp side of this. So in this article, this I'll read through a little bit more because it's not as long, and it's kind of an overview. They've gone over the executive order, and these are some of their thoughts, and this will take us to the next step on the path where we can dig a little bit deeper. So they're aware that Biden's signed this executive order, and they've realized that this is going to unleash transhumanist hell on America. So if anyone needed proof that the powers pushing the levers behind the mindless moron who sits in the Oval Office are fully on board with World Economic Forum United Nations agenda of biomedical tyranny and transhumanism, look no further than the order that we just read through some of. By quietly getting Biden's signature on this document, his handlers may have given us the most ominous sign yet that we stand on the threshold of a technocratic, one world beast system. Prepare to make your stand because it's about to get much more intense. From the moment the Queen died, guys, I was saying we hadn't even begun to hit peak insanity, but it was coming now. Well, I think these guys think the same as I do on that. So this document's Orwellian title, Executive Order on Advancing Biotechnology and Biomanufacturing Innovation for a Sustainable, Safe, and Secure American Bioeconomy, will assure that its significance will fly right over the heads of 99% of the media, which it did, even the conservative media, which it did. So this one is going to be up to us, guys. Share this out as far and wide as you can. Make sure people understand this. There's more pieces to this, but we've got to drop the petty squabbles because humanity is literally at stake, right? So when they read, it's kind of the same thing I said here. They will read it and yawn. I plead with everyone reading this article to please not make that same mistake. Exactly. That was why I wanted to actually read through a bunch of that, because if I just shared a link to Biden's executive article, people would have got to the third, a few people would have got to the third paragraph and they'd have either been asleep or they would have utterly have given up on that. We cannot make that mistake with this one, guys. Not this time. We do not have we cannot. We just simply cannot let this slide. In the shadow of all of these distractions, right? So you'll understand more a little bit as we go. Because of the arcane scientific language in which this document is written, even most of those who take the time to read it and study it, I assure you Biden did not, will not fully grasp what is being ordered by the White House. That's why they put in there that bioeconomic, biometric, 400 times in the first 8 paragraphs that I read, to make sure that it would be so distasteful that people wouldn't read it. So we strive to help. We aim to please. Karen Kingston, a former Pfizer employee and current analyst for the pharmaceutical and medical device industries, helps us decipher what's going on in this executive order. All right. If you're going to screenshot anything in this video, guys, screenshot this one right here. Let me read between the lines for America. Biden, September 12, 2022, executive order declares that Americans must surrender all human rights that stand in the way of transhumanism. All human rights that stand in the way of transhumanism. Clinical trial safety standards and informed consent will be eradicated as they stand in the way of universally unleashing gene editing technologies needed to merge humans with AI. In order to achieve the societal goals of the New World Order, crimes against humanity are not only legal but mandatory. This is why the COVID jabs. See how far they could get without actual informed consent. That was it. They wanted to see if they would get away with it, doing something without informed consent. And they got millions and millions, hundreds of millions. They managed to stick with their experimentation, right? So here's one of the more disturbing excerpts from Biden's executive order. We need to develop genetic engineering technologies and techniques to be able to write circuitry for cells and predictably program biology in the same ways in which we write software and program computers, including through computing tools and artificial intelligence. So when you look at who does most of this computer stuff with these guys, Bill Gates, Microsoft, they couldn't stop a virus in a wet paper bag. They have had the most flawed viral and security systems since the invention of technology and computers. And now this guy figures that he is the master of creating the human software and rewriting us in his Microsoft image, right? It's that should literally make your skin glaze over with ice, people. It really, truly should. So Patrick Wood, an economist and author of several books on technocracy, has been following the transhumanist and global technocracy movements for 4 decades. He told me that Kingston is not overstating the issue. I am not overstating this issue either, and I will be screaming about this very loud. I will not have the time to cover a lot of different things because this must be battle number 1. He said that this executive order is proof that the executive branch is now owned lock, stock, and barrel by the biomedical pharmaceutical industry. It will be Katie bar the door from here on out. That was my beef with Canada. People don't realize that as of, I think it was October of 2019 already, 0 Canadian tax dollars go to Health Canada. It has been 100% taken over by the pharma corporations. We are in the bio economy driving our Canadian healthcare system, which under emergency order is literally running the country. So by de facto, through our de facto prime minister and his transition to our chief health agency to bio funding and Theresa Tam issuing emergency orders, they actually controlled Canada. Trudeau is just a placeholder, right? I cannot state it more straightforward than that. And this is why it's so scary to me, because this is exactly, it worked so well in Canada. They're playing it on America next, right? So the transhumanists within Big Pharma have completely taken over government policy and taxpayer funds to promote their own anti-human agenda of hacking the software of life, Wood told me. It is also clearly demonstrates who has the power and who sets the policies in America. This goes right back to that ESG stuff, guys. Those small groups of companies are now controlling the politicians. Well, 100%. They control the politicians and thereby the policy. Through whatever means necessarily, and I covered all of that too. That was the sole purpose of Jeffrey Epstein's existence, the sole purpose of Ghislaine Maxwell's existence, the sole purpose of what the guy in the UK, his name just fell off my tongue. It was right there. But King Charles, same thing, exactly the same thing. They're all a part of that same disgusting mess. So the mRNA injections that have already gone into the bodies of at least 70% of adults in the US and a smaller percentage of its children mark the gateway to transhumanism. We have been told this by Kingston, as well as the late Dr. Zev Zelenko and Dr. Robert Malone, a co-inventor of the mRNA platform. Okay, I've got an article queued up after this from Dr. Malone addressing and going into depth again beyond this article here. And I've been saying for a long time, this wasn't a vaccine, it was a biotech weapon delivery system. So this is basically what they're stating here. This was the gateway to transhumanism. So was one of Leo Hohmann, forgive me for if I'm not saying that right, was one of the first sites to blow the whistle on Moderna's former chief medical officer, Tal Zaks, who told the world straight up in December 2017 that we have hacked the software of life. If you look at what they were talking about at West Point in 2018, 2019, they were laughing and joking about this kind of stuff already. So I have no reason to believe that any of this does not exist. What we're basically hearing out of Biden's executive order was, okay, the military has what they want out of it. Now it's going mainstream so that they can plug us all into the computers and the system that they and the moneyed few, I will not use the term elites. They are not elite. They bleed just like us. They just have money, and they think that makes them elite, and they make me ill. But that's where they're at. So, and this, I'll get back to this. I get lost, sidetracked in the weeds about this. So, this mRNA gene editing biotechnology would be incorporated into vaccines to treat and prevent all manner of illnesses. We've seen how well they work, with millions getting sick and tens of thousands dying after getting 2 or more doses of the COVID injections offered by Moderna and Pfizer, with the FDA and CDC now totally on board. This mRNA technology is being included in scores of other vaccines, including flu shots. Oh, by the way, guys, I fully expect to get canceled from the platforms that I'm currently streaming on, except maybe Rumble, because this is going to be insufferable. They cannot allow this. So we got to make sure that this gets far and wide, because this video is not going to last. I did resurrect an old YouTube channel. You can find it as well right now, The Real What's Up Canada, on YouTube. So it's going out there again, and I will sacrifice another YouTube channel. So basically, they're saying that it worked so great, they're going to use it in scores of other vaccines and flu shots. And as we saw Trudeau's announcement a few days ago, for example, they're not even talking about flu season. Just get your next booster, because it's got you covered. Got you covered. for anything, no matter what. Got you covered, right? All right. So the September 12th executive order was no doubt put in place as backup for the continued experimentation on the human population, and I expect the vaccine industry will exploit it to the max. Absolutely, it was backup. As I referred to earlier, we're able to shut down the World Health Organization's global pandemic treaty. That's what they're referring to here. Backup to that, and it was about 3 days after they had to stop that they were already working on the next iteration of it, and so they did that without the outcry from the world shutting them down, and so hence Biden had to issue the executive order on that. So soon we will see the return of vax mandates, this time more ferociously policed and enforced than before. And now in Canada, COVID is going to be an environmental issue. So this will be likely under the jurisdiction of the new environmental officers that are going to be issued AR-15s and body armor, because environmental officers need that. So this executive order may have been timed at least partly in anticipation of the new pandemic treaty that the Biden administration is hoping to get past the United Nations World Health Organization next year. This treaty will transfer sovereignty over matters of health emergencies from that national level to the WHO. So he's ordering this executive order so that it can carry on in between, and they'll take another run at that international pandemic treaty next year, and they're dumping billions of your dollars into that. So Wood said the EO's intended consequence is to push the frontier of genetic modification of all living things, and especially humans. He believes this will ultimately spark the biggest public backlash in modern history. I think Wood is going to be correct on that. Biden pledges to not only funding, but an all-of-government transformation to support this anti-human scheme from top to bottom, Wood writes. It automatically blocks any agency or department from dissent. That's significant, guys. It automatically blocks any agency or department from dissent. Below are just a few of the highlights quoted directly from the document. Gulp was intended to be exaggerated. The term biotechnology means technology that applies to or is enabled by life sciences, innovation, or product development. The term biomanufacturing means the use of biological systems to develop products, tools, and processes at commercial scale. See, that's what I was saying. They're done with the military specialty stuff. Now the public is going to get it. So the term bioeconomy means economic activity derived from the life sciences, particularly in the areas of biotechnology and biomanufacturing, and includes industries, products, services, and the workforce. They want to eliminate the carbon industry, so they've got to have a backup plan. What is our economy going to run on? This is what they're selling to the futurists down the road, right? So the term biological data means the information, including associated descriptors, derived from the structure, function, or process of a biological systems that is measured, collected, or aggregated for analysis. Silicon Valley, that's what they live for, right? It's all about the data. It's all about the data. The digital IDs is about the data. Digital currencies is about the data. It is something that we have no ability to do anything about the data. Right now, I mean, the most the best we can do, is a VPN. Are we going to be able to put on a jacket like a VPN? I don't know, right? So the term, I'm going to skip through some of this. We know what research and developments means. We know that it's going to be diabolical. Life sciences, to study or use living or organism viruses or their products, which basically means everything alive on the planet is going to be a guinea pig or an experiment, right? All right. So a little further on, Do not be intimidated. Well, easier said than done. Truth will not be defeated. Well, it's one thing to know the truth, but knowing the truth and doing it are very different things. Uh, this comes down to the just because we can, should we argument. Well, just because we could do gain of function research on viruses didn't mean we should do gain of function research on viruses. And we were told to stop doing gain of function research on viruses, but experimenting with humans and every other living organism is okay, right? Um, so this is Leo Holman's article. Again, I will include this into the links when I put out the rest of this information on this and publish it out on across my platform and the Your News platform tomorrow. And I've got one other. Let's see if I can pull this up here. All right, I've got one other article from somebody that you guys know pretty well already. And I haven't had Dr. Robert Malone on my show yet. Um, Honestly, I had done too many doctor shows. I had done 35 or 36 doctor shows, and I really wasn't believing that they were telling me the things that we needed to know or that were helpful in the current situation. Not to negate anything from them, but I didn't think that bringing them on my show had much more value to give. We all knew this was wrong. We all knew this was a biological weapon, not a vaccination. So we knew all of these things. So I did not find any value in drowning you guys with more doctor talk. So I had not pursued Dr. Malone. And we'll see. This level of discussion might be interesting. So Dr. Malone was one of the inventors of one of the portions of the mRNA technology. He didn't invent it all. He never claimed to invent it all, but he has taken as much abuse as anybody. But he is somebody that, although he got suckered twice, I believe he's been jabbed twice. He won't to do it again. But he's one of those people that came through the other side of this chaos and will not be stopped. And those are the kind of people that we need to work with and get behind. You know, the ones that just refuse to be silenced and stopped, that will pay the price and just keep charging, like me. Um, so he published an article. This would have been yesterday. And this is a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more layman's speak from one of the most brilliant people in and outspoken people in this battle. So I'll just start with that. Human cyborgs are just the beginning. The United States government administrative state believes that human augmentation is imperative. So, Matrix, Borg, whatever you want to call them, that's what Joe Biden has on his little tiny little brain. But so I'll dig into this. Ever since I wrote the Substack article on human augmentation and the UK Ministry of Defense and German military complex, I did publish an article on UK Ministry diving into this transhumanism agenda as well. It was published a couple of years ago, but I hadn't plugged that into the rest of this yet, but Dr. Malone did. So, discussing that these two organizations advocate for human augmentation in a report entitled Human Augmentation, the Dawn of a New Paradigm. I've been wondering if the U.S. government, that is to say the U.S. Department of Defense, DoD, and the administrative state which controls it, has developed similar plans. This week I did a little research starting with the keywords human augmentation and DoD, and there it is. The it being the strategy playbook and battlefield field plan for creating human cyborgs. Universal Soldier, anybody see that movie? Dolph Lundgren? I think it was the one that made him famous. Yeah, real, real time here now. So for those who lust for more stimulation and shaping after reading the following, this Substack also relates to our June 16 Substack, ARPAH, Intelligence Community within NIH. To begin, there are various hints from various governmental agencies that human augmentation research is underway and has been ongoing for a number of years. For instance, this article, or go back to any of the West Point lectures that I highlighted back in 2018. Inside the military's new Office for Cyborgs 2014, DARPA's Arati I can't even tells Defense One that cutting edge biology research is the future of national security. Defense One, April 1st, 2014. Now, if I saw this on April 1st, I'd probably think it was kind of a joke, but no joke. The ability to link human brains to machines, create new life forms, and build Star Trek-style disease detectors will be the focus of a new Defense Department office soon. The new office, named the Biological Technology Office, or BTO, will serve as a clearinghouse for Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, programs into brain research, synthetic biology, and epidemiology. The office will cover everything from brewing up tomorrow's bioweapon detectors and connecting humans to computers to designing entirely new types of super strong living materials that could form the basis of future devices. Here are the key areas in more detail. Well, we know that they've already achieved some of that. We've seen that through some of the jab analysis and what people like Dr. Mike and Dr. Ruby have been exposing in looking at the materials, but I'll carry on. This author does let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, by his use of the word cyborg in this article's title. That is the military's new office for cyborgs. But the actual content of the article does little to enlighten us as to what the DoD actually has planned. Really? Kind of seems, on par for the course. It's getting hard to tell who's driving the bus here, the Pentagon or Paramount Pictures scriptwriters, right? Do DARPA locker rooms have pinups of Jerry Ryan? Do androids dream of electric sheep? Is Bruce Sterling actually a deep state operative and CIA consultant? Moving on to more recent news. Oops. Another fascinating title and article. This search was a little like following the breadcrumbs to Granny's house. Researchers helped DOD consider challenges of human enhancement. November 18th, 2019. DevCom. I just saw something about DevCom not that long ago. And I encourage everybody to go out and collect these and get familiar with them and disperse and disseminate this information. I'm going to try and make a kind of a giant gold boulder out of all of this in this video and what I publish for you tomorrow on it. So Peter Emanuel, I know that name, PhD, the Army Senior Research Scientist for Bioengineering, sees a future 30 years from now where a U.S. soldier can direct a swarm of drones in battle through a direct brain-to-machine connection using a neural implant. The implant also allows him to see exactly what each of those drones is seeing, then digitally integrate this information in his brain and send it as data to other machines, fellow soldiers, or his command and control element. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I took a number of years of military training, and I was proud of that. I was proud to be a soldier, but if this was what they were telling me I was going to be doing, I would have run like the plague. I'm glad that I did that before any of this. My time was in the golden age, and I can look fondly back on that. This is not the kind of soldier I ever wanted to be, and I think that they're going to find a large portion of the human population is not going to want to take part in this either. I mean, when it gets to that point as a soldier, and all of a sudden you rebuke at doing something, what do? Just turn you off? Hit the button? Is that what they do? They do in China. I mean, they've already got soldiers' helmets are lined with explosives in case they choose to do something dishonorable. That's exactly what I see as a future for the military, serving military. So this is a little more helpful. Note that the person being interviewed for this article is Dr. Peter Emanuel. This is important later on in this Substack. Trust me, it is a Where's Waldo kind of thing. Absolutely. I've seen this guy's name, does Dr. Peter Emanuel, pop up in the West Point lectures and in some of the other documents, in some of the stuff I've seen outside of country, coming from outside of country. He's like everywhere. Also interesting that now the DoD is using the language human enhancement, so much softer and gentler than human cyborg, don't you think? Uh, Intentional. They're starting to sell it. So this article is even a little more current of note. The COVID crisis most definitely took the spotlight off the whole human cyborg research agenda. Something tells me that the DoD didn't mind that too much. U.S. Space Force chief scientist says human augmentation imperative. It's a good thing we couldn't get to the moon without human augmentation, right? I mean, and these guys justify this human augmentation, and in a sense, they're already right. Just this device already makes us an augmented human. With this device, I was capable of doing so much more for my employers. I could be so much more efficient and effective. I was already an augmented a part of their workforce, even though it wasn't plugged into my brain. So these guys like Elon Musk and Apple and guys that we worship, they're doing this intentionally, and they already know, and they're planning forward. They know 5 years from now what's going to be available to us in the market because they're developing it, they're building it, they're creating it, they're manufacturing it. And now Biden is telling us that this is all going to be in us. And if when we're hearing about the military talking about this stuff, this is now May 5th, 2021. This is kind of falls in between the gaps of where we were talking from 2018, which we were only just recently becoming aware of, right? But this is they're planning on taking that next step from the augmentation. We'll never be able to leave it behind. We'll never be able to forget it. We'll never be able to escape it. So, the Defense Post, May 5th, 2021. Today we're on the brink of a new age, the age of human augmentation. Human augmentation should be embraced by the West to keep up with the competition. U.S. Space Force Chief Scientist Dr. Joel Moser said during an event last week at the Air Force Research Laboratory. Well, now, of course, they have to keep up. They leaked it all to China. And China has all the manufacturing. So now we're definitely behind the eight ball. They can absolutely out-manufacture us. But this isn't all directly leaked to China. And this is where there are so many other twists and turns in this. The Pegasus intersecurity branch software that Robert Maxwell sold to the CIA, FBI, NSA, the KGB, Mossad, the Stasi. They sold this security software to all of the top level alphabet agencies, security agencies on the planet. And once it was all installed, they kind of came out that there was a backdoor in this software that was supposed to be so secure that the security agencies needed it, but there was actually a backdoor in this software that allowed the person to access through this backdoor literally every intelligence agency on the planet. The creator of that software was Ghislaine Maxwell's sister. Okay, guys? Ghislaine Maxwell's sister. Ghislaine was the party girl of the bunch. The other ones were the brains. Right? So there's more to this than all of that. And of course, now they have to try to keep up with the Joneses because they made sure the Joneses were ahead of them. Right? In our business of national defense, it's imperative that we embrace this new age, lest we fall behind our strategic competitors, Moser said. Moser added that unprecedented developments are forthcoming in areas such as artificial intelligence, which will allow the military to craft tactics and strategies that no human could. Autonomous programs will eventually provide real-time advice to commanders, and multiple autonomous agents will be able to assist commanders and decision makers in reconnaissance and fire control. Here comes Axel, the robot killer dog, under control. Drone strikes. You didn't follow our political edict. We must send the drone. So the chief scientist further explained that human augmentation will eventually develop into technologies such as augmented reality and virtual reality, including nerve stimulation to enhance the simulation of physical sensations. So when you're wearing your goggles, it'll jab you too, so that you know you got hit by something. You could put an individual into state of flow where learning is optimized and retention is maximized, Moser said. This individual could be shaped into something with very high performing potential. Oh, we all want to be Neo, don't we? We all want to be Neo. Where's Morpheus? He's going to turn us all into Neo. Or in this case, Fauci will. I mean, who isn't up for a little nerve stimulation among friends? The language used is really helpful in tracking the origins of the ideas. Bruce Sterling's classic cyberpunk novel, Schismatrix, is all about the conflict between shapers and mechanists. Shapers being the group that alters the body through genetic modification and specialized mental training. Mechanists are the group that modifies bodies through computer software and external alterations. Yep, we've seen that movie too. Then we have the Big Kahuna, the report that begins to lay out the true intent of the military in all of this. This large year-long assessment commissioned by the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering and conducted by the DoD Biotechnologies for Health and Human Performance Council was published at the end of 2019. It's entitled Cyborg Soldier 2050, Human-Machine Fusion and the Implications for the Future of the DoD. Oh, and there's that guy's name again. Imagine that. So, subject terms, cyborg and human machine enhancement. The abstract of that assessment reads: the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, Alexandria, VA, established the DoD Biotechnologies for Health and Human Performance Council, BHPC, study group to continually assess research and development in biotechnology. The BHPC group assesses scientific advances for improved health and performance with potential military applications. Do you think? Identifies corresponding risks and opportunities and ethical, legal, and social implications, and provides senior leadership with recommendations for mitigating adversarial threats and maximizing opportunities for future U.S. forces. Man, they need some better writers. There's like 14 ands in that sentence. That is just, I think, again, it's meant to be a painful exercise in understanding what they're writing when they write this stuff. All of them. It's like they all went to the same school of horrible writing and articulation. At the direction of the BHPC Executive Committee, the BHPC Study Group conducted a year-long assessment entitled Cyborg Soldier 2050, Human-Machine Fusion and the Impact for the Future of the DoD. I bet if Dolph Lundgren were alive right now, he would just be going, whoa! The primary objective of this effort was to forecast and evaluate the military implications of machines that are physically integrated with the human body to augment and enhance human performance over the next 30 years. This report summarizes this assessment and findings, identifies 4 potential military use cases for new technologies in this area, and assesses their impact upon the DoD organizational structure, warfighter doctrines and tactics, and interoperability with the U.S. allies and civil society. This analysis was made public when published, but then COVID crisis soon overwhelmed us all, and it quickly faded from public memory. If you didn't read this report back at beginning of 2020, or if you've forgotten about it, below is the executive summary of this 50-page report. What they're doing is they're literally normalizing more of that, guys. I'm going to add it in the links and let you guys read and digest that a little bit more, and send me your feedback on it if there's things that I missed or didn't get to. But here's the thing now: what they're going to do, is equalize. Everything is equalizing. And you've heard me say this earlier, that, or in episodes past, where every time there's an advancement in technology, one side seeks to weaponize it for domination until it becomes equal, right? So this is kind of in essence what we're experiencing here right now. And whether this was done intentionally by design or accidentally at this point is kind of moot. We don't, that's just the semantics of it, because now we have to deal with it, and they are literally taking us to task with this technology, right? So now they're going to normalize this, and what we're going to run into is, oh, you're a construction worker and you had two guys going to apply for the same job, but oh, dude's got genetic enhancements, and he can swing a hammer 3,041 times in 15 seconds, and you can't because you're just a normal old-fashioned good old human being. You're not going to get the job. So it's going to set up and continue this apartheid and this escalation of apartheid, where if you don't comply, you're going to be starved out of the system, extricated from the system, canceled from the system. Okay, I don't need that. I can go and buy. We've got a community. We can survive that way. Well, until it starts to get to the point where, without having these kinds of enhancements, you can't even see or read the labels on the groceries in the store. Oh, wait a minute, your hand doesn't work across the machine. Sorry, I can't sell you anything because you don't have the right biometrics to make this purchase. Like it's just mind bending where this can go to, and ultimately, we need to have some serious discussions. Not can we, but should we? Uh, it's and at this point, we have to have them now, because having them later, after the fact, is already too late. Once humanity has been, um, I don't want to say eradicated, but we are literally an endangered species right now. In the true human form, we are already an endangered species, because people that have had uh, their genetics altered have now been jerked out of the evolutionary system. From this point forward, even if they have children, it's not along the process of evolution. It's not going to be like you got dad's eyes and mom's nose. It's not going to be that way from this point moving forward. The good part of that I caught in there, and I don't know if anybody else did, where they talked about reversal of some of these things. So and what they're in the context that they were using, it was like, okay, our soldier, he got some kind of biometric attack on him, and we need to reverse that. So the entire spectrum of medicine is going to be changed to this. Anybody that practices unauthorized health and wellness is going to be targeted and criminalized. Because if you are not cheering on hoorah rah for the state, you're non-compliant. Uh, so this is not going to get it's not going to get easier, guys. This so all of the evil things that we're debating are all intended to take us to this point. Um, so I know that's an awful lot to digest, but here's the thing: all of these guys, they've been doing all of this with monopoly money, and we've been trading and working and living in good faith based on this monopoly money. When we extricate ourselves from this monopoly money system, we stop feeding this monopoly money system, turns to tangibles and realities to make the world go round, they can't survive. If a person's entire self-worth and value to society is based on a stack of monopoly money, and their what they bring to this digital space, what their avatar world, what their avatar life is, their online persona. If that is 100% of their value to the world, it can be gone like that. They carry no value outside in the real world. I work on here. I live in the real world. My value to society has a certain measure here, but it's what I can do in the physical space, right? So the less that we support their digital space, their digital avatar reality, the less we play in there, the harder it is for them. If we stop using their currency, the harder it is for them. When this whole system collapses and they offer us their digital options, we must say no. We must say no. We have to do it is our responsibility as the consumer to understand who, what, where, when, and how gets our service. And it's never been more important to me to know where did that food that I'm paying money for come from. If it came from Kraft, sorry, I'm out. Kraft's owned by BlackRock. These are the things that we're going to have to do. We are literally going to, and it's going to seem an insurmountable task. I don't have it handy. Maybe I can pull it up while I'm talking here. But when you take a look at the sheer number of things, when we go to the grocery store and we think we have choice, and we go up and down the aisles and up and down the aisles, and I would suspect that in most grocery stores, in primarily most of the Western free market society world, have basically the same, um, you know, options, products in the store shelves. The stores, you can pretty much find the same thing in every store. And 70 to 80% of that is owned or created and manufactured from the same corporations or owned by the same corporations, right? Even if their branding, their label isn't on it, they might be 15 companies removed from BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, but at the end of the day, that's where the dollar stops. Is it those three corporations literally own 78% of the world? So I don't get the nom noms, the good things, the candy, the tricks, the treats that I used to. I don't buy and support them anymore. Now I buy my goods from the local guy. I eat local eggs, and there is very little processed foods. And the processed foods, the jams or the peanut butters or the honeys, I have to look a little harder, and I can generally find that too. It might not be ideal. It might not be everything that I'm wanting or craving, but it's going to get me by, and I can survive, and I will be healthier for it. And it doesn't put money in the company's pockets, that BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. I mean, there's a couple dozen of them, but it doesn't support those guys. And that's what I mean by that. Uh, in the cash. They're if people in the States, if they got 401ks, they're getting gutted, absolutely getting gutted right now. We tried to warn them weeks ago already. This is not going to get better, and that again has very little to do with what we're doing. The bad guys are going to capitalize on what they have manifested. So, due to uh, means or measures beyond our influence. By that I mean what's happening on the opposite side of the world. Our currency, as we know it, is in dire danger right now. The EU is about to collapse. Energy is, they're going to have that dark winter in Europe, and there's documents suggesting that again this was manipulated to happen by the globalists through the proxy of the United States. These sanctions were suicidal. These sanctions were suicide for every nation that is enforcing them, and Russia and China have never had it so good, their economies, right? So what's we're going to end ultimately run into here is if we carry on with these guys at the helm, we end up in the Matrix as cyborgs, and there will be a controlled population. There will be no such thing as just going, getting lucky and having a baby. That's not going to exist anymore. Being attracted to somebody and getting married and having kids in a white picket fence, that's not going to happen anymore. Being an entrepreneur, self-employed, perhaps, but it'll be state-owned, state-conditioned, and probably be in the bioeconomic sphere or the digital space. That's how they intend to govern us moving forward if we don't hold the line for humanity now. And every day that goes by, we lose more people to this transhumanism, to this biotechnical injection. And it's overwhelming for most bodies. Most bodies are not going to survive the transhumanism transition process. So this is why they intend to get these things as quickly as they can into the youth. That is where our children are the most resilient. Their bodies have been less contaminated in general, and they have the ability to adapt and evolve easier compared to us old fogies, right? So there's that was a drink from the fire hose, guys. I could go on about this for hours. This has been an hour and a half now, and I don't want to be a doomsday guy, but we can't fix anything if we don't know what they are doing. If we don't see and aren't aware, then we cannot do anything about it. Then we get blindsided, as we have kind of here in the last couple of years so many times. So I encourage everybody, if it's not going to change something in 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, or 5 weeks, forget about it, because humanity is at stake, not just survival today or tomorrow. Those are absolutely critical, because we can't fight next year if we don't get through today and tomorrow. So we have to get back to the baselines of our communities, and we have to do it now. We are running out of runway for winter, and with the manufactured power shortages, they're going to do that to us here too, guys. It's coming. Ukraine, the power outages in Ukraine right now are a slightly different reason. Russia's done playing. Russia's done playing with the Ukraine. People said early on, oh, if Russia could really do this, they would have taken out the power grids and the water and the infrastructure right out of the chute. They didn't want to destroy the Ukraine. They wanted us to get our shits together. They wanted us to make the stand that we should be making. But they're running out of runway too. So Russia launched missiles, and he took out the first round of the first level of power infrastructure in Ukraine, without doing anything more permanent. If he is forced to do anything more permanent over there, they will literally get put back into the dark ages forever. Their infrastructure will never recover if Putin is forced to escalate this to the next level. So that's what they have planned for us, guys. But as much as they want to exclude us from the conversation, that should inspire and motivate all of us to demand to be a part of that conversation. Seems to be a bit of a theme for me this week. Because I'm a journalist, I'm not allowed to digital or video attend my own hearing in Saskatoon. You'll be hearing more about that a little bit later on as I carry out another story on that. But travesties of justice and law, insanity, folks, we have not hit peak insanity, but this is where they intend to take us to. Ted, I am not deceived, not by any stretch of the imagination. Most people are. Putin is also not my enemy. Putin has some of the similar enemies, and anybody that wants to ignore the facts that we were in Ukraine, literally teaching, training, and funding actual real world holdover Nazis from World War II, and blame me for being a Putin supporter, go F yourself, because you are delusional and you have absolutely no real legitimate facts. I've got people on the ground over there that are dying to get the truth out. Real people. So do not come at me with being a Putin supporter, but I do understand reality of it. Putin does not want to be a cyborg either. And if he tries to make his people into cyborgs, he won't make a day, because those people over there, they have been through this before. They have fought this before, and they are not going to allow it again. So Putin does not want a globalist transhuman world. He doesn't want to be our friend either. He wants Russia to be like the Russia that he knew, just like I want Canada to be like the Canada that I knew. That does not mean I am a Russian supporter, but I know what's going on in the Ukraine is the absolute biggest scam, the biggest cover up, the biggest lie, and that lie is destroying us because of people that want to put their yellow and blue flags up because it's virtue signaling to something that they believe in when they know absolutely none of the facts. I feel so sorry for the people in the Ukraine that are being destroyed, killed, and slaughtered, but they have been for 10 years now because of the involvement of our governments. Putin isn't at war with us. He doesn't hate us. He doesn't want to war with us, but he is as sick of the Satan worshipers and the pedophiles as I am. So Sun Tzu said it best: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I'll go back to hating Putin just like I did before once we've eliminated the Nazis from within our own house, because we here have as big a Nazi problem as they do in the Ukraine. All right. So I just want to make that clear, because I get tired of being accused of being a Putin supporter because I'm laying out the facts that we are not the good guys this time, guys. Canada is not the good guys, and neither is America. And that pains me and kills me to have to say these things. I am the proudest Canadian that I know, and it kills me. But we have to call out the shit in our own backyard. And I don't hold any faith in politics, but I'm hoping, because there is very little to hope on. I'm hoping that Pierre will have the guts to have some real conversations, because I'm going to do my best to hold his feet to the fire to have real conversations as well. And every last one of the rest of us needs to be doing that right now more than ever before in the history of our nation and our time and as our species. Right? This is the end of the line in our living lifetime if we don't stop this. This is not something that we can expect our kids or grandkids to get out of, because they don't if we don't stop this now. And I hate when I get really emotional because that takes away from the facts. But at this point, guys, we have to do something significant to bring together our differences of opinion, at least to one solid opinion that stops them now. Whether it's on one subject, because it doesn't matter which side of the political fence you're on, you don't escape the cyborg if we don't stop them now. And good, bad, or otherwise, we don't have a choice anymore. Choices, thinking we have a choice, pretending it doesn't exist, is slow suicide. So on that note, this has probably been the darkest show I've ever done, but it's time to clean up our own backyards. And it's time to hold these people not to account, but to honesty. I'm not a judge. I can't judge who's guilty, but I can damn sure hold them to honesty. And that's where we have a lot of work to do. All right, guys, I love you all. We haven't hit peak insanity yet. I encourage everybody to dive into this stuff. I'll make all of the resources available. You'll be hearing a lot more of it. If you find more that adds to it, adds to the discussion, this is about the people. It's about humanity. This is no longer about politics anymore. This is crimes. There is nothing, and I don't believe that there is any faith on this planet that agrees with this. And I don't care what faith you are. I know our government's been hiding stuff for us for so long. There's a stack of papers that's hidden in the Privy Council that's taller than the CN Tower. Those are secrets. That's our information. And we are deemed incapable of information, handling or processing or knowing the truth. This is a problem, a major problem. And it's going to take us to the brink of humanity. There's no there's no way I can overstate where we are at with what came out in Biden's executive order. That is absolutely the normalization to them. We are to them to the Bidens and the Obamas and the Clintons and the Soroses and the Trudeaus. To them, it's nothing more than a new tagging and branding procedure for the sheep, for the slaves. Slavery is more alive now than it ever was in the beginning of our histories. It's just done a little bit differently now. And they have full intention of taking it back to that same level of brutality that used to be involved with slavery, this passive slavery, this working for fake money and exchanging our fake money for real goods. At any time they wanted to pull a carpet out from underneath us, they could, as we've seen. The instant you were politically unreliable for a moment, your access to survival was threatened and jeopardized immediately. So I didn't want to go on here too long. Deanna, I did see that video, and would like to address that. This is another thing, guys. We know they've been poisoning our waters for a very long time. I watched that video. I don't know what they've used, and I hope somebody keeps track or finds out what they were dumping in that water. And I don't mean what the government tells them they were dumping that water. You can find that video on the What's Up Canada Facebook page. That was in Miramichi, New Brunswick. It was incredibly toxic. But it's just, this is the thing. There are so many things that they're attacking and trying to kill us with. We have to find out what that is and address it without losing our collective sanity over it. Because as soon as they are trigger happy right now, they will lock you up and shut you out for anything. I haven't seen any confirmation on what that was yet, but it's there's rumors. But I would like, if there's somebody that has access or knows who did that, who did get a report or has something official on it, please have them reach out to me on that. I would like to inform other people so that they can watch for some of the same ongoings, because I 100% believe that a lot of these environmental crises that they're using to leverage our compliance are 100% manufactured. I mean, all of it, the entire climate terrorism agenda, that's what it is, has absolutely no basis in science. You follow the science and you get to the money. There is no science to follow. The entire agenda was created in Canada. Maurice Strong, Canadian politician, is the brainchild and grandfather of the Green Revolution. So it's a Canadian concept right from the beginning. And this is one of the things that kind of irritates me about the American intelligence agencies, is they seem to want to take credit for all the bad guys too. And no, a lot of the evil out there in the world has grown to be the evil superpowers in the world because they were operating in the shadows of Big Brother, operating out of Canada. Perfect case in point, Reuters. Reuters, the guys that fact check all of the things on all of our social media points whenever something is true and calls us a liar. That's owned by a Canadian, and that Canadian influences all of the European media corporations and is the official guardian and gatekeeper for all things COVID scientific and facts. Canadian. Yep. Just like when they got caught with MK Ultra in the States, they just moved it to Canada. when they shut down, when they took the wall down in between East and West Germany, the East German Stasi police, Trudeau Sr. brought them to Canada and gave them jobs here in Canada. Operation Paperclip 2.0, you could say. So when you start to understand some of those kinds of things that our government have done along the way, bringing the Stasi here and moving and setting them up in Canada, it's not hard to understand how we see our justice systems and our intelligence systems, police systems, completely under the doctrine of these Stasi agencies and training and conditioning. I was able to, by accident, I guess, sit in the first day of my hearing on Monday. When I went to log in day 2, I wasn't. But what I heard already day 1, it reads to me exactly like a Stasi operation in 1981 Germany. How our police are operating, their procedures, their language, the vernacular that they use, the efforts and the expense that they went to get to this point of that trial is mind blowing. And there's a big story to come up about that too. And as a journalist, I'm not allowed to even attend my own hearing. Is that Stasi? Sounds pretty Stasi to me. But on that note, guys, lots to go over. I hope to see lots of comments, lots of shares, lots of messages. This has to be our fight, guys. And this all things transhumanism, no. If it supports those top 3 echelons, no. If we can't survive outside of those things, we build it. We have to learn how to build shit again. We have to learn how to clean up our own backyards and get rid of these Nazis and learn how to build shit again. So we can play with these guys and end up in the Stone Age like Ukraine, or the Matrix as cyborgs, or we can take a step back to the 1960s and eliminate all of this garbage and nonsense and do the things we need to do to set us free. And they're out there to do. A couple of cases in point. I should have brought this up. I didn't know I was going to be getting into this, but Chile, massive victory in Chile. They said no. They're going through constitutional conventions in Chile. And they're not the only ones. There's other nations that are going through constitutional conventions. And guess what? A whole bunch of the nations, the smaller nations that used to be a part of the Queen's Commonwealth, they're going, oh, the Queen is gone. We don't want to, Charles is our king. So they're having constitutional conventions and they are going to separate themselves from the monarchies. So guess what? There's going to be a whole bunch of brand new nations out there that are going to be a whole lot freer than we are here in Canada. And we see the fear in the legacy media because you are seeing, oh, we could never separate ourselves from the Commonwealth. Oh, that's an impossible task to separate ourselves from the Commonwealth. That's what the mainstream media is telling us in here in Canada. It's because they're afraid. They are terrified. Because every single politician out there for generations that is living on our tax dollars, on their comfy pensions, their for-life pensions, would be cut off the hog. They would be cut away from the trough. We would be free of all of those trillions of dollars of debt that Trudeau has created that would be called odious debt. The debt of the criminal goes with the criminal. So guys, when you hear people like Doug Force talk about constitutional conventions and freedom and real freedom and why politics don't work, he ain't blowing smoke up your butt. He really isn't. And I wished often that there were some real world examples for people to refer to, but they're coming. Chile's one of them. Iceland wasn't that long ago. That was the last one we had on in most recent memory to look at and how they did that. But constitutional conventions, but they have to be done right. It's not a it's not a game of it's not a matter of groups and cliques and petitions and just getting the numbers. That is not how constitutional conventions work. And people really, truly need to understand that before they're saying things and pretending to do things, because there's been a lot of people out there that have tried that already. The Dallas Hills, the Christopher James. They're close, but they're trying to take shortcuts. And you cannot take shortcuts to freedom. So, on that note, I love you all. I know this has been a wild roller coaster ride, and you're going to have a lot of questions. I'll do my best to make sure you guys find the answers or have access to the places that you can find the answers. But I strongly suggest, if you're a praying person, pray. If you're not a praying person, you might want to think about starting. And if you're stuck on some of the semantics that are going on around us, you might want to put that to bed for a while, because I think we got some more important issues. We've got some bigger problems. And our kids and our futures, the entire world for that matter, is depending on that. This is the crux point in our history as a species. And I have faith. I have faith in humanity. I have faith in God. And I have faith in the power of what we're capable of doing. I've seen glimpses. When something is important enough, we will find a way, because then it's not a want, it's a necessity. And we need to stand up for humanity. So God bless you all. Stay Canadian. And for our neighboring friends, God bless you too. God bless America. I only have one king, and his name isn't Charles. And I'm not sure when the next one of these is going to be, guys, but I probably not going to be as long of a break in between, depending on how many platforms I still have available tomorrow morning. But wherever you do find me, please sign up, subscribe, hit the like, find us on Rumble, find my YouTube, bookmark us. We're just launching a spoiler alert service on my website to make sure that when I do get finally ultimately permanently removed from the Facebook and the YouTubes again, there'll be a place where you can still get the important stuff every single day. So just setting that all up, and a bunch of new stuff on the website, guys. Check it out. Some new merch in there, some great new ideas coming up, new designs coming up in the next 2 days. This is taking, and I'm not selling the merch to make a living. I'm selling the merch because every single one of them is a billboard. And that's how we influence culture, is what's seen on the streets. And when enough of us are seen on the streets with the same message and it is correct, that's how we influence politics from the boots on the ground. So I love you guys. Stay Canadian, as I said. If you can help us out, buy me a coffee. Greatly appreciated, and need all the help I can get. We're in it for the long haul, and I am a symbiotic organization. I need you guys as much as you guys need the truth. So anything that you can do to help is greatly appreciated. And on that note, I wish you all an amazing evening. I want to get out of here so I can go and listen to Shadow's show. I hope you all tune in for Shadow's show and listen to Wendy Bell on Mondays, 9 to noon Eastern, on Rumble and on the app. You can also find me on Wendy Bell's app daily. All right, guys, I love y'all. And until next time, keep going, hold your ground. We got this. God wins. We just have to do enough of God's work for him to win. All right.